in the Toyota Supra. There is Kawakami putting out nearly 3 seconds by not even the end of the first lap. Through the Forest Elbow we go and down the Conrod Straight for the first time, and you can see how nose-to-tail it is throughout the rest of the field. Down the Conrod Straight we go. This is where we'll see the slipstream coming into effect, and where we should see the medium shot runners breezing past the hard shot runners. Here is Yamanaka on the back of Miyazono. That Subaru's not ever been particularly quick in a straight line. Miyazono in the Toyota draws alongside his compatriot and goes through into 4th position before we've even reached the end of the straight and in towards the chase. Oh, and wide there as well for the Honda of Nabatani. Cockerman ready to try and take profit of it, but Nabatani just about manages to hold firm in second for now.
4 seconds is the gap on lap 1. Kawakami's just gone, right, mate, I'm going to win this soon. He's just left the field behind. Obviously, long race yet to go, but that's about as good a start as you can have, I think. Meanwhile, the battle for second and the rest of the hard and medium runners are pretty much all stuck together as we come onto Mountain Straight for the second time now. So we get to see the straight line speed of the cars. I mean, I think take a drink for every time we said that Subaru's going to struggle in a straight line, because that's going to be a big factor in this race.
It certainly is, and I'll tell you what, not a particularly brilliant start for the likes of Mosso and Hashima. They're still 10th and 11th as Yamanaka breezes past Miyazono heading in towards Griffin's Bend.
What can you do?
No, absolutely nothing. That's it. He's just a sitting duck at this point, isn't he? So Kawakami here, he's trying to break away from the rest of the field, isn't he? Well, he's already done that, 4.1 seconds. I think he's trying to channel his inner Igor Fraga. If you remember, what Igor loves to do is lead from the front, doesn't he? Doesn't like to get bothered by anything behind. And, well, he's clear as makes no difference from the rest of the field. He's not going to be bothered at all, is he?
Yeah, we had Igor Fraga here at our lovely venue, hyping up Kawakami before the race up on stage. So maybe those words helping out a little bit, of course. Here are our drivers, you see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, all soaring away at the wheel. It's hard work, this, on the sim. You wouldn't think it is, but you can really work up a sweat trying to hustle these cars over the mountain here as they'll come down one at a time. A replay now. This is Kokogun and Namatani. I think this was the overtake we saw earlier. It seemed a bit rough from the replay. Let's see it again. He was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said. They went a bit wide. Kokogun tried to come back, and it's like they're just about on winning contact there. Very nice, clean driving, but Namatani said it like a pole into that left hand.
Yeah, fantastic overtake there from Namatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. And seemingly while further back, as I said, Mosso and Hashima not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or, a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Hashima, surely I'd have thought that the sensible money would be to get onto a quicker compound tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazono getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Well, Miyazono then opting, as you say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way in these events that the hard tyre is kind of just lava. You don't want to be on it at all. But it's one of those things where you want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a faster compound tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure what the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is given himself a massive amount of space. There's no one in front of him now. And now he can just try and hop that, because he knows if he's racing other cars, they get in the draft, he can't keep them behind him. So he's going to try and basically gain time this way.
That's going to worry too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close to him on circuit, he's on the medium compound of time. Now let's have a look here at Cochrane versus Yamanaka up the mountain straight. This is for 3rd position then, so side by side these two drivers going. Yamanaka just breezing past once again, and also Benelli getting overtaken there by the Audi of Sato, so that's up into 5th position as well. Now the field beginning to spread out a little bit. You can see the medium shot runners breaking away a little bit from the hard shot runners, aside from Cochrane, who's still got Sato all over his rear wing.
Yeah, good fight here, fourth place between Mazda and Audi. Interesting, the gap from Kawakami. Oh, Sato, much quicker on exit there, runs into the back of Cochrane. That's about as rude a hurry up as you can get there from the Audi driver, and now they're going to be drafting down the straight. Look at the bump I saw down there. Sure, looks like they're maybe using the old stock car tactics there, trying to gain a bit of time on the cars in front. Will Sato go for the move? They go to look in the mirror too, but Benelli's there. So up the inside goes Sato, up into 4th place. Does he yet? Kokoman runs a bit wide. Can Benelli take advantage of that? They're now just about side by side. I think the Kokoman comes out ahead, but that's what happens. The racing is so close. If you lose one position, you end up losing another one just because you're offline. Kokeman there deciding, you know what, I've had enough of hard tyres, I'm coming into the pit lane. But what I was going to say before all that started is the gap in the front stopped growing. And Nabatani there, who was sort of giving it all that in qualifying, is now on his medium compound tyre and matching Kawakami on lap time. Well, about 2-3 tenths slower a lap, but to be honest, that isn't so bad.
No, normally you'd expect the gap to be about 1.2 seconds or so between the different compounds of tyre. So interesting to see there for Kawakami versus Nabatani. We'll keep an eye on that. Cockerman's off the hard tyre. He goes on to the mediums then for his middle stint. Dotto also coming into the box in the Chevy Corvette from the hards, likewise on to the mediums. Now Cockerman ahead there of Saya Suzuki. That's pretty important, but is he going to be able to retain that position as he comes up the mountain straight in towards Griffin's Bend, because this could upset Cockerman's race here. He wants to try and run in clear air. Down the straight we go. Suzuki's on the outside. He's got the slipstream and he's got the place really easily there, and that's not what Cockerman needed. The crucial thing when you're coming out of the pit lane, you're trying to get the undercut compared to some of the other drivers. You need clear air. You don't need to be battling with something that's out of position compared to you, and that is going to really put a spanner in the works for Cockerman and Mazda.
Yeah, this is all kind of meant about hitting at the right times. Here's Mosso and Hashima are current first and third place in the standings at the moment. They're going side by side, just about keeping things there. Championship standings, that is, a simple name for the race at the moment, but a drag race all the way down Mountain Straight. So this is great to watch for these guys, and great battling. But of course, if they are swapping positions like this every corner, this is costing a little bit of time. Also does go up the inside finally of Hashima, but yeah, very close these guys.
Yep, and then getting the better of the Ferrari driver. Here is Kawakami still continuing on. Look at the sector times, they're looking pretty okay still as it stands for now. He's just, as we said earlier on, driving a nice clean race. The gap up to nearly 6 seconds, and you can see there a look at the tyre wear as well. His front significantly more worn than the likes of Nabatani, Yamanaka and Sato on the medium tyres. You haven't pitted.
You can hear the car through the corner, the tyres are screeching, and actually he was slower for the last sector than both Nabatani and Yamanaka behind on the medium compound tyres. So I think he's already, to say, Tom, he's really worn those fronts. We heard him actually just before going to this race with Sasha saying that he's a bit nervous about tyre wear in this car, and we're seeing that already. They're struggling, that front end really pushing on. So understeer, if you're unfamiliar, basically think about it. If you're about to hit a wall, if the front hits the wall first, it's understeer. If the rear hits the wall first, it's oversteer. And at the moment, the front is really pushing out. He can't get the car to turn as much as he wants it to. And those tyres are screeching in protest, and it's only going to get worse as the tyres get more warm.
Yeah, if you want a sort of more literal example of that, go to a supermarket, fill up your shopping trolley right at the front end, and then try and turn it. That's understeer for you. Kawakami on board with him. The gap coming down to just under 5.5 seconds. It's still a nice couple of pushing for him. He's just got to drive as cleanly as he possibly can, try to eke his soft tyres out for as long as is viable. He doesn't want to stay on it forever, because obviously they're going to fall off the cliff at some point. That performance is going to go, and if he's on them, he's going to be a sitting duck later on in the race. You want to time this tyre change to perfection, and Kawakami, you can see him there nice and smooth on the steering, just one solid movement going into the corners, not trying to soar away at the wheel, but just trying to keep that gap at a constant. So this is what we usually see in these GT World Series races. Is it starts off pretty exciting. We get different drivers on different strategies all sort of working themselves out. Then we get a little bit of a lull sort of in the middle stages, and then once it all works out with the strategy later on, you've got different drivers on different tyres who have pitted at different times. That's when the race will really begin to come alive. I don't think Kawakami's going to be boxing on this lap, or indeed the next lap, but he's certainly going to be on his radar before too long.
Interesting, Nabatani is kind of matching Kawakami for sectors now, so keep an eye on that gap. Here is Suzuki in the BMW trying to come past Kokeman. Of course, both these guys have pitted already, and Kokeman's decision to pit early maybe not the best one for him as he gets overtaken in a straight line. Yeah, that's a re-overtaking as well. We saw an overtaking there coming in a couple of laps ago. Kokeman managed to get ahead of Suzuki, and then Suzuki's got ahead of him in turn again. So Kokeman there now 1.5 seconds behind Suzuki. Crucially, he's out of the slipstream range. As we've got Benelli for AMG, Sasaki for Genesis, and Hashima for Ferrari, all in the pit lane then here on lap 6. So second and third both lapped quicker than first place on the last lap. So those medium tyres now are starting to come into their own. The soft tyres start to wear. So in comes Benelli going onto that soft compounder tyre now. Let's see what he can do this stint. Comes out in traffic behind. I think that was Kokeman and Suzuki. So he's going to drive up to the back of these guys and have to get by on the circuit. So not ideal for Benelli, but we'll see if he can make the best of it. watch Kawakami come over the mountain for the 6th time. Those front tyres now really starting to get to the danger zone, especially down here. You do not want those front tyres, that front right tyre in particular, just knocking down there to 24%. And then that for a corner like this, Forest Elbow, coming through here, that front right tyre is pushing on. You're just trying not to put the car into the wall on the outside. That's going to get tougher and tougher. I won't be surprised if we see him pit very soon.
Yeah, I wondered if it would be actually the end of this lap, come to think of it. I said earlier on I didn't think it would be, but to be honest, the tyre wear has really gone down quite significantly for Kanata Kawakami here, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that either this lap, if not the very next lap, for the Japanese drivers. Are coming through into the chicane we go. Now, does Kawakami box at the end of this one? Just to remind you, Lexus second in the point standings, 2 points behind Porsche. Points awarded for the top 6 drivers. Kawakami decides to come in then into the pit stop. A bit of a late call there for him, but all is fair and okay. They practice these pit entries all day. And Kawakami then, where does he go now in terms of the strategy? Does he go to the hard tyre for this middle stint, or does he try to go on to the medium tyre and try to weather the storm a little bit? Either way, he's going to lose the lead here. Nabatani and Yamanaka, who are yet to pit in this race, continue on, and they will take over at the front of this one. Kawakami in the box. We still wait for the decision on where he's going in terms of his tyre strategies. He comes in for a new set of Michelin tyres on his car. Goes to the medium tyre then for the middle stint. That seems quite sensible for him, so he's going to try and go for a long middle stint here in this race and then run the hard tyres at the very end of this one. The thing is, what this does now then, effectively kind of locks in the strategy for the likes of Nabatani and Yamanaka, because they need to be on the soft tyre at the end, because their nearest competitor in theory is going to be on the slowest compound.
So interestingly, Miyazono, of course, who pitted earlier on for those soft tyres, a bit earlier in the race, fastest man on track at the moment, also has the fastest lap of anyone at 2:06. Very impressive in race trim with that fuel in the car. It's now 5 seconds behind Kawakami on the road and is on the faster tyre. For now, though, of course, the advantage that Subaru has being a little bit lighter than the other cars out there. It does go through the tyres a little bit slower than the other cars out there. So you might wonder, oh, it's not fair, this car's slow in a straight line, but it's fast in other parts of the circuit. This is what makes the manufacturing series so unique. So many different brands, different approaches to going fast, and they're all using, of course, our balanced performance system, have a very similar lap time. So it's always very, very cool to watch as we get an awesome onboard shot from Miyazono. Surely, if you're taking this manufacturer to the series win a couple of times in the past as well, I wouldn't want anyone else in his car. I think maybe Mick Gazelle. Come back, Mick, we miss you.
Don't forget about the QR code on your screen at the moment as well for more information about drivers if you want to find out a little bit more about the men behind the wheel of the cars at the moment. I was trying to work out a way of doing that.
That would be a great opportunity. That would be an amazing opportunity.
Certainly would. So here is Miyazono then. Soft tyres for him. Of course, they're going to wear that a little bit quicker. Started this one, as you can see, on the hard compound, but he's running the softs in this middle stint of the race. He's in a nice bit of clear air at the moment. The gap between himself and Kawakami pretty stable as it stands for now, but Miyazono will be starting to eat into that before long.
Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, 2:01.3, 2:01.4, sorry, last time out. Of course, Kawakami with the box 2:03.7. So the gap has it's stabilised around 5 seconds between the two. So I think Kawakami is using that medium tyre, and Miyazono is coming to the end of the life. And let's look at the background there. As scary to see, isn't it, when you're in a little Subaru trying to make your way down the straight. Lots of cars in the background. Meanwhile, Nabatani still leading, 3 seconds over Yamanaka, Kokuban and Suzuki. This battle continuing, apparently. Kokuban goes back past Suzuki in the Mazda. They're being clever about it, though. They're doing it on the straights. They aren't fighting in the corners. These guys, they know how to race each other. They know how to be quick over a race distance. One is different to being quick over a single lap than over a race. These guys have raced together for many, many years. So definitely a little bit of collusion there between the two, I'd say. But I imagine that will fade away as the laps fall down to the end.
Yeah, pretty good show of the crowd. They are here so far on Kokuban and Suzuki as it stands for now. Keep an eye out for Benelli because he's not far down the road from these two drivers as well. You can see him there just flashing past your screen in the Mercedes-AMG. 2 seconds now is the gap between himself and the two Japanese drivers, but also Benelli is on that softer, quicker compound tyre. Let's have a look and see how confident the second one up. So coming out of Hell Corner, and Suzuki then a bit wide onto the curve. Confident, of course, with the advantage of the slipstream as well. Falls behind the BMW, falls towards the right-hand side of the BMW, and fast past the BMW quite nicely for Coburn.
Not the most spectacular overtake, but it works. If it works, it works.
The good thing is they're not costing each other too much time, compared to the likes of Benelli, who will be bearing down on them, as we said before too long. Interestingly now, one of the top three who haven't pitted, Sato, comes in on the medium tyres. I'm fairly sure he's going to have to go onto the hard tyre and then run the softs at the end of this race if he wants a chance to podium. But I could be wrong.
Seems early. The rear tyre's failing a little bit on that Audi, which I'm not surprised. I've heard that car isn't kind to its rear tyres. But just to go back to Suzuki and Kokubun, I mean, they're not costing each other time, they're gaining each other time. They're using that slipstream to just slingshot past each other, gaining a few extra kph per straight if they were just riding on their own. So watch out for these guys. This might be a bit of an interesting strategy from Sato there, going on to that soft compound in the Audi. Let's see if it can keep those tyres alive for more than a couple of laps. Does Miyazono go for one more lap on those soft tyres? We'll find out as Sato's come out just behind Sasaki, who goes up into 8th place for Team Genesis, and that is not what Sato wanted there. He wanted to be ahead.
No, absolutely not. He wanted to be on the soft tyre, as you said. But the problem is, it's so much one at a time as you come up through the mountain. You just have to sit behind him and let him dive to the inside. Oh. There's a bit of contact there, and Sato just backs off the throttle and allows Sasaki to hold on to 8th place without. It's a fair old dive on going through the left-hander. You don't make many big overtakes going through that part of the lap. And this is a willing dance partner. Sato not able to make that move stick, but now he's just hemorrhaging time. And this could prove to be quite costing him if he just loses more compared to Sasaki. And then, of course, relative to the other drivers who he was close to on the circuit before his pit stop.
Stewart's having a look at that as to do with any contact, but I don't think it's going to be, oh my word, Sasaki there, getting it all wrong, and we're going to see an overtake down towards front, but we're not. Sato having to wait a little bit longer now, and this is what Sato was he was scared of this, getting sucked behind the guy in front on worn tyres, who's just trying to keep it together and just passing your time. It's so frustrating with the driver behind there, but that's what you've got to do. That's racing, and sometimes using worn tyres in this way is just as effective as using your tyres when they're quick. Sato now putting alongside. I didn't think it's too much opposition there from Sasaki. Sato up into P8, but that was a slow outlap there for the Audi driver.
Nice good overset there from Sato then, as he makes the position, goes up into 8th. Proved wrong in terms of the strategy as well, so he went on to the soft tyre. I thought he was going to go to the hards. Proved all I know, absolutely nothing at all.
We all knew that.
Takuma Miyazono, 6th position for him as he comes into the pit lane then from the soft compound of tyre. And let's see which way he is going to go. He's going to run the hard tyre, just to remind you. So presumably this will be the medium right to the end of this race. As we said, the crucial thing for him is he needs a nice bit of clear air. He's into the box at the moment. Interestingly, Shima and Mosso not far adrift of Sasaki for 8th position. Just to remind you, points on offer for the top 6 finishers in this race at the moment. Given the fact that they are 1st and 3rd in the championship for Porsche and Ferrari respectively, they will not be scoring any points so far here tonight.
We'll see. The race has still got 12 laps to go. Miyazono, I think, is strategy-wise, is playing this very well. He's putting himself in clean air, and he will be able to see that Nabatani and Yamanaka in heavier cars have managed to do 10 laps. It will be 11 laps next time by on this medium compound tyre. This Subaru, which is a bit better on its tyres, will be able to go longer than that. So yeah, medium to the end now for Miyazono. And again, see that mini-map on the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's the gap he's got to the rest of the field. So we can just drive into that gap now, try and get those laps, basically qualifying laps now for Miyazono for the rest of the race, if he has any chance of catching the leaders. Kawakami and Nabatani in the front now, the ones we're sort of watching for once the pit stops are all said and done. But interestingly, we still have 2 drivers who haven't been picked.
Yep, Nabatani and Yamanaka really eking out those medium tyres, aren't they? They want to go for as long as they possibly can. So presumably they're going to either go onto the softs and run for as long as they can on those and then do a really short stint on the hards at the end of the race, or they're going to go onto the hards in the middle and then go onto the softs at the end. Let's wait and see what will happen for those 2 drivers. And Bruce, they're going to come into the box as well. Look at the tyre wear. They're pretty warm, but they're not too bad.
Just having a look at Miyazono there, checking out the big screen and seeing what everyone else is doing there. That's one of the advantages of being here, of course. You can just have a quick look up to the monitor and go, oh, right, it's on that tyre, is he? Oh, he's got that tyre wear, is he? I wonder how he's doing. But Nabatani, I've got to say, for someone who is relatively unknown to us, doing a great job so far. I mean, those rear tyres looking a little bit worn, especially that rear right tyre, which will be under load right now, coming through the cutting. We're doing a great job, very mature drive so far. It's only half the race down at the moment.
Yeah, Suki Nevertani in the Honda, doing a fantastic job, as we said, podium for that team in Montreal, if you remember, for the first World Series event of the year a few months ago. An opportunity here for Honda to try and capitalise on their home support here tonight in Tokyo. I just love this onboard shot, it's so fantastic. The eye leading down from this section of the circuit. Is this one of your bucket list?
Yeah, I love Kevin, but of course one of our German commentators, Mr. Florian Strauss, won this race in back last 12 hours. He never talks about it. But yeah, I would love the race here, of course. And right as well, we have about 7 different angles by German commentators. I mean, English broadcast is best, we know that. But if you want to see what mediocre looks like, you check up your broadcast.
Checks in the post today now, I'm sure. Happy about that. So we're at the halfway stage then of this race. It's going to come alive, I'm sure, towards the very end of this one. So Nabatani, Yamanaka, the only 2 drivers left to pit at this one. Everybody else, as you can see, has made at least 1 pit stop. Benelli and Sato's tyres doing all right so far, but Nabatani does come into the pit lane at the end of the halfway stage, and Yamanaka also following suit here as well. So what Yamanaka needs is he needs a really good middle stint. Let's see whether these two will diverge in terms of their strategy, and crucially, where is Kawakami going to emerge? He's surely going to end up in the lead, because was it 25 seconds, isn't it, for the pit stop, and he was 15 seconds behind. So nice and easy there for Kanata Kawakami, and I think, if anything, he'll be extending that advantage. So this is proving to be quite nice for Kawakami, but just to remind you, he does have to run another set of tyres, the hard tyres, the slowest competent tyres, right at the end of this race, which possibly some other drivers will not have to do. Navatani goes soft for the middle stints of this one. Yamanaka also following the same strategy. So all the drivers then, despite the fact they've started on different competent tyre, hang on a minute, here's Cockburn, who's managed to drag alongside Navatani then and goes through into 2nd position.
What a nightmare for Navatani. That's, again, same thing. He does not want any traffic, and just that he'll be absolutely ruining that. Only a 10th difference there, which is a bit quicker on the inlet. That wouldn't have happened. But again, now he's got to try and pass him on the mountain. But interestingly, the gap before any pit stops is about 5 seconds. It's now 10 seconds to Kawakami. So really opened it up.
Look at the Nelly here as well. Really good bend from Tomoaki Yamanaka, both on the top compound tyre. But the Nelly's tyre significantly more warm, courtesy of pitting earlier than the Japanese driver. The Samurai, as he's known by our Italian commentators. Oh, it's the wall there for Benelli. That's going to really put him on the back foot. Possibly leaving under threat here from Yamanaka, who's got great traction and great momentum. Has he got the opportunity to use it, though? It's going to be one at a time through here, surely, and he's going to have to bide his time. Sato's there ready in the background to try and take profit of it as we come down through in towards the forest elbow. All of that momentum, but no room to use it there for Tomoaki Yamanaka down through the left-hander, and this is going to be a case of when and not if for Benelli to be losing possibly not 1, maybe 2 positions. Down the Conrod straight we go. Yamanaka has got the slipstream, he'll have the overspeed here. Benelli's car's quick in a straight line, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the newer soft shod Yamanaka, who pulls alongside down the Conrod straight in towards the fast right of the chase. Benelli loses 5th place. Yamanaka's up a position there as well, and Sato is still lurking in the background, ready to take advantage.
He did well to keep him there, but it's got to be a pit stop now for Benelli, surely. Into the pits he comes.
I thought he was diving to the inside there.
Mega lunge there. No, not quite coming in the box there. I think, it's about time to get off those tyres. So soft tyres coming off that car. We'll let you know what he goes on to once he pits. Let you know what he goes on to once he pits and gets up to his stall. So here is the replay of, I think this is Namatani on Kokubun. Around the outside, got the inside now for the left-hander, easier. The Kokubun also, I think, understands that right now this isn't the fight he could be in. Drop behind, try and get pulled along a little bit, save a bit of time that way. But a clever move there by Kokubun, I think, to let that one go.
I'll tell you what, Seth, though, because Kokubun and the likes of Yamanaka not too far apart from one another actually on track as well. Suzuki in the middle of those 2 drivers, and Yamanaka on the quick soft compound tyre, new soft compound tyres compared to the medium shod Suzuki and Kokubun at the moment. So he's going to be slowly creeping onto the back of them. He's already taken half a second out of those drivers on this lap alone in the first sector.
Yeah, so I mean, just shows the difference that the tyre advantage gives you around here. Of course, a little bit of skill in there as well, but the tyres do play a big part of that. Here is Kokubun, very experienced driver at these live events. He was actually at, I think he won the 2018 Nations Cup event back when it was done a little bit differently back then. And I remember there thinking, man, this guy's quick. And ever since then, always he's in the top 5, always there and thereabouts. And Mazda is no different. On board with Yamanaka now. We've not seen him for a while, have we? Good to see him back.
It is good to see him back. He's always a driver who provides a lot of tempo. As you can see, giving you a wave down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He's driving nice and calm at the moment, and he looks to be in a position to pounce on the drivers in front of him before too long here. So let's keep an eye on Yamanaka's progress in the middle stages of this race. This is the thing that the likes of Yamanaka and Kawakami, etc. They've got so much experience in. They've been in this position a good few times. They know how to handle pressure and races like this. If you look to some of the new drivers on the international stage, people like Shima, Lotto, etc., they don't have the relative experience compared to those around them, and that could prove to be to their detriment in the live event environment that we have here.
It is different. We say every time we do this, it's different racing from the big crowd having two of my English guys talk over something racing. That's being yourself. and then being in your comfortable space where you're driving. Look at the speed difference here. Will we see him move from Yamanaka? Yeah, he's going for it straight away. No time lost there for Yamanaka, up into P4, and now he goes on to the back of Kokiba. But I think Suzuki let that happen. In the background, though, Sato starting to gain as well. I was going to say he did have the fastest lap until just then. Yamanaka setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 2-minute .2. That was faster than some people's qualifying lap.
Amazing job from Tomoaki Yamanaka. Suzuki just also hitting it into the wall, going through the left-hander of the cutting as well. Yeah, just a bit of a kiss there for him. And Kokoba now with a face full, or a rear view mirror, I should say rather, of Tomoaki Yamanaka. And again, this is a case of when and not if. You can't really make a move going through here, but we have seen Yamanaka very close. You can see him right on the ragged edge cohesion through Forest Elbow we go, and down the back straight, and Yamanaka is talking a breeze past the Mazda. That Mazda pretty handy in a straight line with his rotary Wankel engine. Don't ask me to say that one again. Down this straight we go, though. Yamanaka's going to pull to the inside. Kokoman's not going to try and defend this one too much, I don't think. It's Yamanaka, different strategy, newer tyres, and indeed the Japanese driver in the Toyota up through ahead of Kokoman in the Mazda.
Yeah, really nice move there. I think he made the right choice to do it there and not go for a lunge at Forest Elbow. I think he could have made the move there, but he had the draft, and that would have gained him a bit of time as well, although he would have lost a bit to the elbow. But anyway, Yamanaka turning into a real contender in this race.
Just look at the lap times here with Kawakami. He was some 2 seconds slower a couple of times around. Whether a bit of a mistake or something, I don't know, because the lap times are a little bit closer this time around. Kawakami at 2:02.2, Nebatani at 2:01.1. Nebatani, of course, on the softer compound of tyre compared to Kawakami, but that gap was over 10 seconds. It's now down to, what's that, 8.2?
Interestingly, on the same tyre, Miyazono is one of the fastest guys in the circuit on the medium compound of tyre. It's still in that little gap right now, just gaining and gaining and gaining. So the gap coming down the front, down below 8 seconds for the first time in a while, as Nabatani starts getting the best out of that soft compound. But behind him, Yamanaka incredibly fast, but still 3 seconds down the road. So most drivers now on the medium compound tyre. We think we've seen the last stop from Miyazono, Binelli and Sato, with the rest of the field still owing. So keep an eye on these guys as the race progresses. Collision somewhere there.
Yeah, Moto and Hashima colliding with one another. They've been pretty inseparable throughout the entirety of this race. Sadly, for the wrong reasons as well, because they're not in the point standings. And at the moment, they will be set to lose. At the moment, they will be set to lose their positions in the championship here. We will have a new championship leader. Let's have another look and see what happened here between Moto and Hashima. So this is down what looks like a downhill straight in towards the right-hander. Hashima closing the door. Moto, for my money, was very firmly up the in already.
Yeah, I'd say that he got turned in on there. A shame for Hashima, but he was there. You can't just pretend it's not there. So we'll see what the stewards say. We have a bit of a running joke with the stewards. Like, will I agree with the stewards this time around? So,
and if you're playing bingo at home, you can cross that one off.
Yeah, I know. It's that. What else do we have? The Subaru's fast, straight line, rotary Wankel. We've got some good ones.
Yeah, we certainly do. So we're coming towards the business end of this race, and this is where it's really going to begin to hot up, because we've got the strategies to come into play, and we've got drivers coming into the pit lane then at the end of lap 16. Kokoban and Suzuki coming in, so they are going off of the medium compound of tyre. they're going to be going onto the softs. Now, they are going to have a lot of pace in the closing stages of this race. Miyazono's made his final stop, as you can see. He's on the medium tyres towards the end of this one. Hashima also in the pits after being in the wall a few corners ago. Grotto coming in for Chevrolet as well. So a flurry of activity in the pit lane here, and a smorgasbord of drivers that are going to be going on to some quick compounds of tyres, which could be proving to be a bit of an upset for some of the other drivers. I think the likes of Kawakami, Nabatani, Yamanaka, etc., they all owe the hard tyre at the end of this race.
And we've seen that track position doesn't really matter around here too much, because these straights are so long you can just draft by the guy in front of you. But now it'll be a fast finish for these guys. So Benelli, interestingly, behind this pack, as is Sato as well on that hard compound. So for Sato, really, that's kind of his race over. I don't think he's going to come back from that. But Pokemon, Suzuki, Goto and Hashima, who's a bit further down the field now, all on those soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, Miyazono has been quietly making moves there on that medium compound tyre. So we will keep an eye on him. He owes no more stops. Kawakami, our leader, does owe one more stop, and more importantly, owes the hard compound tyre, which you've seen is the slowest. So how many more laps can he get out of that medium? I think he's really burning through these tyres, Tom.
Certainly is, and he's got to try and eke them out for as long as he possibly can to not lose as much time. But the thing is, you've got to find that right window, haven't you? Where you don't want to sell the tyre for too long, and you want to have as much pace as you can whilst you're on it. So if you sell it for too long, you'll be set to lose pace. Kawakami leading then on this one, owns the hard tyre, likewise Nebatani and Yamanaka. Is he going to come into the pits at the end of lap 16? Not this time. Oh, he does. Late move into the pit lane there for Kawakami. That's all okay.
He's going to be a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be on the hard tyre then for the closing stage of this one. I'm looking at the likes of Sasaki, at Miyazono, at Cockburn, etc., all on the soft compound of tyres towards the end of this one. Because, well, Miyazono's a 9, in fact, he's already on the medium compound tyre, but these drivers are going to be on quicker compounds compared to the top 3 at least.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to now see where they all line up. So in comes Kawakami, of course, our leader. Where is Miyazono in relation to this? This could have been a masterstroke by Miyazono. Kawakami comes up the pits. Where is Miyazono? Don't see him. I think he's just a bit. 5 seconds is the gap there. So that 5 seconds has sort of held for the entire race. But Kawakami is now on the slower tyre. It's going to take a while to get some heat into those Michelin hard tyres. And Miyazono already out there, already doing some more medium tyres. It's going to be a lot quicker on this first lap.
We've got 5 laps now remaining. It's about a second or so a lap, so it's going to be pretty close here for the podium with Kawakami and Miyazono. Let's keep an eye on that battle and see how it develops. The crucial thing is here, Nebatani, Yamanaka, etc. Again, all owe those hard compound tyres, and are they going to be possibly set to lose out on the podium in the closing stages of this one? Because they've still got a box, they're on the soft compound tyres, and they're coming towards the end of their useful shelf life. Yamanaka's more worn than Nebatani's at the moment, so Nebatani may get an extra lap compared to the Toyota driver, but we'll see how that's going to play out.
I think using my incredibly large types in Yamanaka and Nabatani have been on lose 20-odd seconds in the pits. So put them down to 3rd or 4th position.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Miyazono is the real outlier because he's on the quicker compound of tyre for the closing stage of this one. Don't count out the likes of Cockburn and Suzuki. I mean, it's going to take a fair old mission for them to challenge for the podium, but it's not out of the question. The soft tyre is just so much faster, and anything can happen here in these races.
But it is faster. We've seen it really drop off towards the end of the stint. So even if you're quick now, you have to nurse it a little bit to get it home. Otherwise, you're going to end up just running out of tyre and not being able to fight anyone. So here's only going down the straight. Nabatani boxing. This will be a really good indicator to see where they are. Yamanaka opting to stay out a bit longer on that soft tyre.
That surprises me because Nabatani had more tyre life left compared to Yamanaka.
It does. They're in different places. You see Yamanaka on that Toyota, more front biased, more tyre wear on the front right tyre, whereas Nabatani in the mid-engine Honda NSX, a lot more tyre wear on the rears, which around here, especially over the top of the mountain, sketchy. So maybe a better idea to go onto the hard tyres now, more for safety.
I think Miyazono's been absolutely blinded here. He's going to breeze past Nebatani, surely.
There
he goes, yeah, straight through off into the distance, and Nebatani emerges in 4th position. Crucially, though, you've got Cockburn and Suzuki on the soft tyre, not far away at all, so it could go from bad to worse here for Honda and for the Japanese driver. 2 other cars bearing down on it.
So at the moment, the real fight is between Miyazono and Kawakami at the front. You can see there, and we're 3 seconds faster on that last lap, but that does include the outlap of Kawakami as well, so that is going to be a little bit inflated. But We'll see what his time is this time around, but the gap is 3.6 seconds. About 3.5 laps to go. Kawakami in the wall there. You can see he's really struggling. I think he's just not getting that heat into the tyres, and he knows he's under pressure as well, and that can really get to you if you're not used to it.
Well, this is really beginning to hot up in the closing stages of this race. Nose to tail action here, and Nematani surely is going to be a bit of a sitting duck, because Koppelman and Suzuki both on the soft compound of tyre coming down through this section of circuit we go, and this is where it's one at a time, but down the Conroe straight is where we could see, and probably will see, some moves being made, because I don't think Nematani, despite the fact that he's a very talented driver, on that slow compound, hard compound of tyre, he's going to be able to do anything to thwart the challenge of the Mazda and the BMW that sit in its wheel tracks then. So down the back straight of the Conroe straight we go. Nematani pulls to the left at the side of the circuit, and Koppelman is surely going to be able to pull alongside him before too long. We go side by side, down the straight we go. Yamanaka's into the pit lane here. Koppelman is into fourth position, into the chase, and keep an eye out for the BMW of Suzuki as well, who's going to look for the outside line. Nematani's going to park the car on the apex and thwart Suzuki's charge for the time being, but will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely fantastic for Saya Suzuki and the BMW as he goes up into fifth position, and Nematani drops down 2 places in the space of 2 corners.
Nothing you could do there, just drove clean around the outside of them, so great move there by Suzuki. Yamanaka into the box for his set of hard tyres, comes out in 4th place, right in the train as well, and there is Nematani, just lost a place, will gain one back now from Yamanaka, and I think that's horrible for Yamanaka there.
Well, the positions are really important here, because it's down to 6th place for the points. You want to get yourself as high up as you possibly can here for someone like Yamanaka. Miyazono is on the ragged edge of adhesion though, 3.3 seconds last time around, to give you a bit of a flavour of how different the lap times are. Kawakami a 2:02.1, Miyazono a 2:01.6, about half a second or so quicker than the Lexus last time around was Miyazono. Koppelman even quicker than those two. I don't think Koppelman's going to be close enough. I think he'll be dead on for that 3rd place, but the win may be a stretch too far. It all depends on how these last few laps look for Kawakami in terms of the lap times. We've seen him a little bit under pressure. He glanced the wall last time around, and if the pressure starts to get to him, he starts making a couple of errors, that's where we could see Miyazono ready to take profit and ready to try and take the victory.
Half a second faster last lap is Miyazono. That's not enough though. It needs to be a bit faster than that to catch onto the back of Kawakami. You can see that in the same frame for the first time since the start of the race, and it's been a long way round for Miyazono, but Kawakami and Miyazono are still in the places and they started in 1st and 2nd place right now, with Miyazono on the charge in the Subaru, but behind them is Ryota Koppelman. Now he only needs to be really within a second of Miyazono to start picking up that draft down the straight. The straights are so long here that could be enough for him to catch and then pass Miyazono in the Subaru. Let's get a look at the lap times as they come back through. Kawakami still not yet coming to the line, but it was a 2:02.1 last time around for Kawakami. To Miyazono's 2:01.6.
It's definitely less than that. It's got to be, surely Kawakami's got to be slower than Miyazono. Only by a couple of tenths of a second though. It's not much.
Same lap time.
Yeah, 2:02.1 for Kawakami, 2:01.9. So is Miyazono just off the gas a little bit? It's Koppelman that's very firmly on it, and he's closing that gap down 2.7 seconds now to Miyazono.
But he's now under threat from Suzuki. I told you these guys wouldn't be as good friends at this point in the race. Koppelman is now starting to defend. Every point counts here. Koppelman going defensive into Griffin's corner there. Running Suzuki around the outside, who's going to drive it round the outside in the M6. He likes that, doesn't he? Suzuki up into P3 there. What a move from the BMW driver. Maybe he's the threat. He did a 2:03 last round, 1.5 seconds faster than Miyazono in front, and nearly 2 seconds faster than Kawakami. He might still have a chance to win this.
2.5 seconds then is the deficit that he needs to make down to Takuma Miyazono there and thereabouts over the course of this lap. 2.5 laps to go in this race as well. Just remind you, points awarded for the top 6 finishers. If it stays as it is, we will have a new leader at the top of the pile, because Porsche not scoring, Lexus possibly on for a podium finish here. This is Koppelman versus Suzuki. Koppelman tried to hold the inside line. Suzuki said thanks very much, and I'll go to the outside. Managed to just drive it through that right hand. Better traction on the outside of that corner, despite not being on the grippy part of the racetrack, and got himself up through into 3rd position. So down the Conrod straight we go. Kawakami, 2.7 seconds. The gap kind of levelling off here, isn't it? I tell you what, Kawakami's race, if he does win it, that was won in the opening stint where he was able to just drive away from the rest of the field, do an Igor Fraga, as it were, clear off into the distance, and he's given himself that comfortable cushion for now.
Yeah, I think that there was a bit of a wobble mid-race for Kawakami, but he's sort of come back around now. I think now he knows that I don't think he can catch me. I think I'm good. He's just chilled out a bit there and is now just getting on with it. 202.5 from Kawakami to Miyazono's 202.1. That's enough. That is enough for him. But in the background, Suzuki and Kokuben still squabbling. They lost a bit of time to that fight last time on the last lap. Not quite as quick as they were before, but I think now, actually, Suzuki and Kokuben are going to be engrossed in their own fight and then not going to go after Miyazono. Of course, both of these manufacturers, they do have points on the board. They're actually tied right now for points, BMW and Mazda in the standings. So whoever comes out on top there will move up. But this team, Team Subaru, currently non-scored. So any points that Miyazono can get, the most he needs to basically stay where he is. He can't afford to lose anything. But Kawakami and Lexus, this is perfect. Porsche are not going to score. They're in P10. Kawakami and Lexus are going to take 4 points, which will rocket them to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Lexus could be set to lead going into the World Finals in Amsterdam at the start of December. Kokuben and Suzuki under investigation for a collision as well. Has there been something off screen that we haven't seen? You can just see Kawakami. Haven't seen. You can just see Kawakami into the distance, and Miyazono, well, he's there and thereabouts, but he's not quite close enough. Let's have another look here. Suzuki versus Kokuben. So this is this time around. Oh, they had contact going into Griffins, and Kokuben got sent into the wall there on the outside. It was only a sort of wheel of contact really going into there. Not much at all, but the slightest of touches when you're on the limit like these drivers are, and it can cost you very dearly indeed. And speaking of costing very dearly, Suzuki still just 2.1 seconds behind Miyazono. Down the Conrod straight we go with the BMW driver Saya Suzuki. BMW currently 5th in the standings coming into this one, tied on points with Mazda, so they'll be getting the better of them not only in the race but also in terms of the points finishes in this one as well. Just to remind you, 6 points awarded for the victory, all the way down to 1 point for 6th place. So Toyota will be the last of the point scorers as it stands for now.
Miyazono's not safe. Suzuki has really upped the pace there on that last lap. They come on to the final lap here in the Manufacturers' Cup in Tokyo. Mount Panorama is your circuit, and we're on board with 3rd place. BMW, Suzuki at the wheel, the fastest man on track at the moment. And he's bearing down on Takuma Miyazono. 1.7 seconds is the gap right now. We've got 2 big straights here, which is going to be a big disappointment to that Subaru. But can Miyazono hold on over the top of the mountain?
Well, let's see what happens here with Suzuki versus Miyazono. Surely it's going to be in the twisty stuff going into the Conrod straight where he'll be able to gain that time, Suzuki, over Miyazono. But we know also that that Subaru, conversely, is really handy in the twisty bits. You can see him, though, in front, dangling that carrot for Saya Suzuki at the moment. And half a lap left in this one to decide 2nd and 3rd in this race. It is not over. Suzuki right up against the wall. He is leaving nothing on the table in the closing stages of this race here. But I wonder if it's just going to be a charge that will come a little bit too late. Down in towards this section we go. This is where Suzuki will be gaining time on that soft tyre compared to Miyazono. Down through into the Forest Elbow section. And then on towards the Conrod straight. Kawakami has driven an absolute blinder, by the way. He's managed to keep that gap pretty constant at 2 seconds in the closing stages of this one. The gap now down to 1.9 seconds. It's close for Miyazono and Suzuki, but it's not quite close enough for Suzuki to be in the slipstream of the Subaru driver. So, down the Conrod straight we go for the final time, and this has been a quite brilliant race for Lexus and for Kawakami. He managed to get into the lead of this one at the start of it from being on pole position, drove away from the rest of the field on the soft compound of tyre, built up a gap of 5 seconds, doubled that to 10 seconds when all the pit stops worked out, and after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their 2nd victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo in the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Lexus who spearhead themselves to the top of the tables ahead of Takuma Miyazono for Subaru in 2nd and Saya Suzuki on the podium for BMW in 3rd place. Fantastic race there. What a drive from Kanata Kawakami. That was absolutely textbook.
You can tell that he is sweating. He felt the pressure on that one. But as you say, Tom, that couldn't have gone any better for Team Lexus. We had Igor Fraga here of his...
2024 Gran Turismo World Series production cars tuned to the max in the beautiful conditions on this Tokyo Expressway circuit at night as well, just to add another element for the drivers to have to contend with. And here is how they line up on the grid. It's Takuma Miyazono in the Lamborghini, who's in pole position. Alongside him on the front row, the Audi R8 of Takuma Sasaki. Row 2 is headed by Angelina Stroza in the Mercedes-AMG Black Series. Jose Serrano, the company in the Ferrari F40. Next up, it's Kylian Drumont in the Pagani Huayra. Then you've got Koke Lopez in the Nissan Skyline GTR R34. Then the R32 Nismo Skyline of Clyde Brun. In 7th was Valerio Gallo. He'll be happy with that. He loves a Honda. He's in the NSX in 8th position. Then it's Guy Barbara in the Nissan GTR R35. And then Toyota Supra is driven by Robbie Heck. Alan Roach, I should say, beg your pardon, is in the Mazda RM7. And Adriano Carrazza in the Nismo 400R lines up at the back of the field. No need to worry about tyres during this race, by the way. It's a flat-out sprint from start to finish. It is going to be action-packed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a straight fight, this. And as you saw from our little graphic earlier on, these cars are tuned to way over 1,000 horsepower. And you add the slipstream into that, and you have the speeds entering T1 over 400 kilometers an hour, or 250 mile an hour if you're that way inclined. So it's going to be, I think, chaotic down at T1 the first time through. If you get through there in one piece, I think you're in good stead for the race. That's definitely going to be a challenge.
Certainly is, and the drivers, as we said, are going to have to be contending with nighttime conditions, and we saw them practicing earlier on. They were oversteering, understeering, sliding about all over the place. It was quite dramatic, really. Yeah,
it was very much so, but a lot of fun to watch. And of course, bear in mind, in this case, it's a ton of fun to see these cars being represented. So the drivers getting ready to start.
So then, it's time to go racing. The sprint race for Nations Cup here in Tokyo is underway. Miyazono leads the field across the timeline, then Sasaki in second, Stroza in third. You can guarantee that order will be changing by the first corner, and even within a few hundred metres it's changed, because Sasaki goes through into the race lead. Now Miyazono goes from being the hunter or being the hunted to being the hunter, rather, I should say. Serrano there lurking in the background, as well as Angelina Stroza. It funnels right down into turn 1. Who's going to be last on the late breakers? Miyazono on the inside, then Sasaki and Serrano bang into the wall for Sasaki and also for Serrano. Stroza takes advantage and goes through into third position, and somehow, in all of the drama, Miyazono manages to retain the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the brakes upgraded these things, but I mean, slowing from that sort of speed is very, very difficult indeed. A couple of cars into the wall there. Miyazono out front from Sasaki, Stroza there in third, Serrano fourth. But as you can see, very, very tricky getting these production-based cars through this circuit. So much power being delivered to the wheels here. Some of these cars as well are rear-wheel drive, some are four-wheel drive. So there's an advantage there in traction zones, but of course in the corners they're going to be a bit more susceptible to understeer the four-wheel drive machines. But coming through this tight section for the first time, as we now come back up towards where we started our rolling start. And to be honest, you don't really want to be where Miyazono is unless you get a big gap out front, because the slipstream, the toe in these cars is absolutely huge.
Yeah, certainly is. So let's see what's going to happen then here as we come down in towards the hairpin. They're not favourable on traction, these cars, at all, because the amount of power that's going through the rear axles, or indeed sometimes the front and the rear axles, you've got to be really, really ginger on the power. Someone's out well by this kind of Brun, isn't it? Yeah, he's off into the centre of Tokyo, I think. He's ended up in Ginza or something along the lines of that, but manages to keep it righted and holds on to 8th position. On board we are here with Jose Serrano. Look at the power here of the Ferrari F40 as we go into the tunnel, and his next target will be Sasaki in front. So it's the two Japanese drivers now leading the Spaniards.
Look at that speed climb there, 360 kph before we came off board there, 390, there's 400 kilometres an hour off the end of the speedo, and then some is this F40. I mean, I love two, to be honest, at this point. It's very, very quickly. Well, do they ever get stopped in time this time through? They do, and kind of Brun almost getting it wrong in the skyline, almost going to the back of Jose Serrano there, but Sasaki up into the lead now, of course, after that slipstream opportunity. But you're seeing these cars are insane, and you have to belong to a very special club to be in one of these cars, Tom.
Certainly do. On board we are, or we are looking rather, I should say, at Takuma Miyazono, with Sasaki having taken over at the sharp end of this race. So down through into these sweeping S-bends. You've got to be one at a time through here, and you've got to really be careful about what sort of opportunities you decide to take, what liberties you decide to take, because it will reward you with the wall if you decide to push the limits that little bit too far. So Stroza having a good run of things so far. And just to remind you, of course, this race result will decide the grid order for the grand final coming up along the way. after this one. And just to add another variable in the mix, we're into the Red Bull X 2019. Now let's work out what happened here with Robbie Heck and Guy Barbara. This is going to be down into the hairpin bend, and I think there's going to be a bit of contact into the back. Yeah, Barbara just misses braking point straight into Heck. Heck gets spun round. Barbara backs off the gas. I think Heck he's still down in 12th place, so I reckon there'll be a penalty forthcoming for that.
That's a very Guy Barbara thing to happen, isn't it, unfortunately? He always seems to be quick, but just a little bit, prone to incident at the moment.
And Robbie Heck has loads of luck, just all a bit bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. But again, on board this time with the mighty R24 GTR. Guy Barbara giving that penalty. Here's the symmetry. Look at this, in the Stroza. We're going to drive by here, I say that, but now we're back into the toe again. So it's just a look. I mean, despite the speeds, again, we're well off the end of the speedo here in the R24. We've got 410, 414, 400, emergency 420.
We're going to go through all wide for the race lead here as well. Coming down in towards the first corner. Serrano's on the outside. Sasaki there as well. Oh, bang! Straight into the back. Lopez into the wall. And that is drama. And we were expecting it to kick off. And unfortunately, it did in the biggest way at the start of lap 3. The upshot is it's Sasaki Miyazono in a Stroza out in front. And now we've got Lopez, who's got a lot of recovery work to do if he's going to be able to salvage a result from this race and secure himself a good grid position for the grand final.
Yeah, that's our championship leader right there in jeopardy. So, I mean, we know Coque Lopez is good at coming back through the field, but obviously you don't want to be doing that. And that'll likely be a penalty as well, because he just ran into the back of the guy in front. Valerio Gallo, good race from him so far, up to P5. He's moved up 3 places from his starting position in 8th. So now onto the back in front. That NSX doing pretty well. Here is a replay, if you missed it, of Coque Lopez just getting the braking all sorts of wrong. He actually helps to run him out a bit there, I think.
I think he knew that he'd outbrake himself if he just decided to go straight to the wall. Look at that. The facial reaction says it all, doesn't it?
Oops.
Yeah, something strong running around in his head, but we can't repeat on the broadcast. Guy Barbara did, by the way, pick up a 2-second penalty for his troubles after that collision with Robbie Heck, just for your information. Miyazono a bit deep at the hairpin there. That allows the door to open for Inestrosa, who's gladly ready to walk through it and slot into the slipstream of Sasaki, the race leader. Lopez and Serrano now under investigation for that collision at the start of this lap as well. Onto the straight we go, and we've got a fantastic shot of the action unfolding here with Valerio Gallo in front. You've got Serrano and Miyazono side by side. Sorry, Serrano and Inestrosa, I should say, side by side as we go through the tunnel. Inestrosa just able to hold further ahead of Jose Serrano for now as well. Keep an eye out for Kai de Bruyne, don't need to the wide ones. And look at the closing speed of the slipstream there for Miyazono. Sasaki early on the brakes, he knows that you don't want to make the same mistakes that Lopez did. Hello, enter stage left, that's Angel Inestrosa trying to go the long way around the outside, but you have to wake up pretty early to try and fall off Takuma Sasaki. He probably knows these roads a little bit better than Angel Inestrosa.
Isn't that insane? That you can be going 380 kph and the guy drives by you with that speed differential. Crazy combat. Unsurprisingly, that I saw that coming. Coque Lopez getting the same penalty Guy Barbara got. It was effectively the same incident there. So Coque Lopez getting slapped for that. But meanwhile, the fight for first now really between these 5 cars. There's a bit of a gap behind us to Kai de Bruyne in the R32. On board again with the NSX Type R of Valerio Gallo, currently second in the standings in our Nations Cup. So again, looking for a good position here, looking for a good result to try and put himself in a nice order for the race coming, the grand final coming later on.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity here for Gallo to try and take profit courtesy of that incident for Lopez, especially the penalty to compound the Spanish woes. Gallo there, brilliant drive, fantastic. Lopez with another 1-second penalty to add to his woes there as well. Down on the brakes we go into the hairpin. Gallo's just going to bide his time. There's no point going and diving up the inside because you're going to lose all of that by the time you come to this next straight.
Yeah, he did back off there, I think, to get this toe. This is how strong the toe is. So right now, we're in P5. Let's see how much time we can gain being the last car in the train. I'm saying that. This car rocketing away from the ASX down the straight. Let's see what Gallo can do as Serrano moves ahead of Inestrosa. So who's that as well? Is that Kai de Bruyne in the skyline? Look at the power of the thing. But he's passed Valerio Gallo. He's now chasing the cars in front. Though he's fallen back by again. But you can see just how strong the toe is. And again, Sasaki and Miyazono trade places. I think they're being a bit careful, but they're saying that. Miyazono trying to keep it on the inside. There's Valerio Gallo diving up the inside of everyone up into P3. Was there contact there, Tom?
I don't know if there was. Inestrosa was out well wide, but I think he was on that course to himself. Oh, a bit of contact to the wall there as well. Serrano's in the middle of a bit of a pickle here because he's got de Bruyne in front, but he's trying to hide, rather, I should say, but also trying to attack the driver in front, and sure enough, you change to the next corner, and the order has changed as well. De Bruyne side by side now with the Ferrari as we come through this ever-sweeping series of corners, and De Bruyne just keeping his powder dry for the time being.
This is just, what a race this is. What cars these are. The speeds are ridiculous. The thing is, at these speeds, if you do get something wrong, if you miss your braking point by, Gallo just driving by Sasaki there. And he did need invited twice for that, didn't he? So Gallo now up into second place. Been a great drive from the Italian so far. Of course, his cars are very different from the X2090s, but we've seen this with Valerio. He really likes this production-style car. Car a bit soft, a bit more roll to it. He just loves this sort of car. He really is just doing so well today.
I'm loving these production cars because we get to see the beautiful interiors that the team at Polyphony have modelled as well. I was actually watching on board with Valerio Gallo a few minutes ago, looking at the clock, and I noticed that the clock does actually work in real time as well. Just that little attention to detail that you just don't see anywhere else. Meanwhile, Sasaki is keeping an eye on his clock because he knows that the time will be running out as we head to the halfway stage, as he now gets past the Honda NSX of Valerio Gallo and back through into second position. Look at this, 3 abreast as we come through the tunnel. Oh, contact there with De Bruyne, and in Astroza you've got to be so careful of that, because these cars, when they're on the edge of adhesion like they are, you can flick them round with your little finger, and it doesn't take a lot of contact at all to ruin your race. De Bruyne keeping a watching brief. We now ride on board with him. This is a familiar sight for you if your name is Jimmy Broadbent, because that's a similar interior for your car. Look at that, Sasaki on the inside, and Gallo as well. It's going to get messy, this one, isn't it, in the closing stages? You can just sense it's going to really bubble up. And look at that, De Bruyne with a lunge to the inside of Serrano as well. I don't think he'll make that stick, but somehow he's got traction on the inside here against the Spaniard, and if he can hold it around the outside, no, Serrano has got track position.
You can see in the traction zone, this thing's four-wheel drive compared to his rear-wheel drive cars in front. It's able to get that power down a bit quicker, but then through this mid-section just doesn't quite have the same cornering ability. So interesting to see the strengths and weaknesses of the cars around this Tokyo Expressway circuit. And you see the gap really opening up there to the cars in front. But behind us is a 3.5-second gap. So the top 6 sort of are comfy right now. And a reminder that it is a top 6 that will be scoring points in the grand final a bit later on. So good practice for Kai De Bruyne. But now closing back up to this leading pack. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse here, isn't there? Because there's 6th screen coming in. So just trying to position yourself in the best place going onto that massive front straight.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of yin and yang going on in this race. Lopez, by the way, down in 10th position. His race not going well at all, and that's going to give him a big uphill task for the grand final in the X2019s a little bit later on. But if anyone can turn it round, Coco Lopez can. If you remember, he started last on the grid in the grand final in Prague, managed to get his way up to a podium finish, could have possibly fought for victory. On board we are then here with Kai De Bruyne. He's got Angel Astroza directly in front in the Mercedes AMG Black Series. Then it's Valerio Gallo up the road, and he's going to breeze on by the Mercedes, or is he? Because pulling out the slip through there is in Astroza on Valerio Gallo, and De Bruyne there, though he's got a fair bit of straight line speed, and that's where the strength of this Nissan GTR seems to be at the moment. It's just not able to use it for the time being. It's going to be a lunge to the inside. We're side by side there for third. Innestrosa looking for the long way around the outside on Valerio Gallo. There'll be a brave move if he can pull it off. Indeed he can't. The door's open for Kai De Bruyne, who gladly tries to walk through it. There's a bit of hip and shoulder going through into turn 2, and De Bruyne does manage to get the better of Innestrosa and goes up into 4th.
The braking zones are just so long here. Such good opportunities for these big moves if you're comfortable in taking that risk. We've seen what happens if you're just a little bit too late on the brakes here. That barrier is just waiting to greet you on the outside of the corner. And again, you're seeing this skyline just a bit weak in this part of the circuit. It can't keep up the rest.
Tell you what it has done though, it's just allowed the top 3 to have a little bit of breathing space. Only 7/10 of a second or so, but whilst they've been squabbling amongst one another behind, it's just broken the pack up ever so slightly. And likewise, Miyazono, he's begun to pull the pin now. He's got 8/10 of a second. That's the biggest gap we've seen all race long for the lead.
Tell you what, that MSX very, very strong in that midsection there. Looking to then, Gallo is desperate to get by Sasaki. I think he's being held up a little bit now. But as you're saying, this Sasaki being a bit slow, it is giving Miyazono that gap. And we're getting to the point now where the draft isn't going to quite be as strong. That's what is keeping these guys together. But of course, you might have played the old GT4 driving missions, the slingshot missions. That's what Gallo's going to do now. He's going to wait, try and get a good run out of the corner, get a massive draft. You see the difference between all-wheel drive there and rear-wheel drive to the corner. That's amazing.
Patience is going to reward these drivers, isn't it? You don't want to be like a toddler waiting to open your presents on Christmas Eve. You've got to be careful about how you do this one, and you can see there Kai De Bruyne now goes up into third position against Valerio Gallo. Across the timeline we go. 3 to go then at the end of this one. So De Bruyne in third position in the Nissan Skyline R32. Just up in front you've got Sasaki, who's taken over from Takuma Miyazono. So that 8/10 of a second lead washed away in the space of less than one straight. Miyazono has a look back on the inside in the Lamborghini. Can he make it stick? I don't think Sasaki's going to hold him up too much, because he knows if they start squabbling, I say that, he goes back through on the inside. Beautiful switchback from Sasaki, but it's released the rest of the field to close right up onto the rear wing of the top two once again.
I know, obviously we're impartial here in the commentary booth, but I am cheering a little bit for that R32 in third place. Kind of Broom doing things with that car that I'm not sure it's meant to do, to be honest, but they're now in the back of the train. Look how close these guys are. 6 cars all separated by about a second as we're on the lap 8 of 10. So only about a lap and 2 laps and a half to sort this all out for our guys here. Jose Serrano on board in that awesome Ferrari F40, always also looking to pounce. You get the real impression, Tom, that anyone could win this race.
Yeah, it is going to be a lottery. Oh, De Bruyne's wide though. That's allowed Gallo through, and Serrano possibly to pick up the pieces as well. De Bruyne's still there on the inside, trying to hold firm for fifth position at the moment. You can see up in front now as well. Once again, that yin and yang, the ebbing and flowing of this race. Sasaki leading from Miyazono. Gallo and Miyazono now side by side for a second as we come down into the hairpin. Is Miyazono going to launch it through on the inside, or is he going to try and wait another day? No, he's going to go through. He's got track position on the inside. Will Gallo try and challenge him on the exit of the corner? He just lets him through and decides to go into the slipstream to attack him on this start-finish straight. So 2 to go then.
The NSX just can't get out of the corner. Every time you see it struggle compared to the cars around it. Again in the background, Kai De Bruyne in that four-wheel drive R32 GTR just pulls alongside with ease, and they're now side by side in the mirror. What a shot that is to be come down again to the first corner on board Miyazono. Look at that speed, look at the mirror. Kai De Bruyne is there behind, challenging. He's going to go up to second place. Will he ever go up to Miyazono for first? And on the inside as well. Oh, that was...
It bottlenecks up into turn 1, and De Bruyne round like a tabletop at the start of the penultimate lap. What a shame for the Dutchman. We've always talked about him and his misfortune in the GT World Series, and unfortunately it comes home to roost as he plummets down the order. That releases 6 cars now down to 5. Miyazono it is that leads.
What a shame for Guy De Bruyne. It was a very strong race for him there, but actually saying, Tom, the track's just a bit narrower there. I think he's caught out by that as Gallo goes round the outside of Sasaki, and now for the first time Valerio Gallo is in a position where maybe he can get onto the back of Miyazono. He's going to be close. That Gallardo close. That Gallardo in front, I think, is four-wheel drive. So here's a replay of what happened here, Tom.
Yeah, let's have a look. So De Bruyne then goes for the move, and yeah, he just clips the wall, doesn't he? There wasn't any contact seemingly with Miyazono. Clips the wall as it bocks up. That sends him round. I talked about the cars being so easy to turn around when you're at that limit, and you can see it there spinning round right to the back of the field. It's now an uphill challenge for De Bruyne, unfortunately, for the grand final. He'll be starting plumb last.
Yeah, he just came round and just turned across the nose of Miyazono, and that was the end. It's a real shame for Kai De Bruyne, but just over 1 lap to go here in the sprint race here at Tokyo Expressway. Takuma Miyazono leads at the last corner. Gallo second, Sasaki third, and now it's going to be the biggest slipstream race of your life. They're all going to want to lead into T1, and Miyazono's in the worst place.
Keep an eye out as well for the slipstream here, because we're just about to come across to the timing line and see how far Valerio Gallo is. So look, if there's the start-finish line, what's that going to look like in a lap time? You need to be closer than that in order to challenge for the victory if you're going to go for a slipstream move. Gallo then now does go for the move against Takuma Miyazono, and hello, here comes Jose Serrano. There's more contact there. Miyazono gets biffed into the wall, but he's got the advantage of the slipstream, and is Serrano going to be in a bit of lumber here? No, he's still there, ready to try and take advantage down to the first corner. Miyazono with a lunge on the inside, leans on Valerio Gallo. Gallo's going to get shuffled to the outside. Miyazono is going to have a sniff through into turn 2, but can't do anything, and now it's Gallo that leads, but he's slightly in the wall. Sasaki's ready there to take the advantage of it as well, and likewise Serrano, and also Angel Estrada. This is going to get messy.
So Gallo is out front, but he needs a gap. That car is not good off the last corner. Any of the cars behind him will out-drag him down to the first corner. So at the moment, Gallo's going to drive for his life in this middle sector. Miyazono is still there. He have our second and third place in the championship, separated by only 0.3 per second coming into the last section. Now, he's putting a bit of a gap, Tom, but is that going to be enough going on to the final straight?
Time is going to tell here. Gallo's pulled an advantage, but like you say, is it going to be enough for him to have that in his pocket? There are the steely eyes of determination for the Italian, the winner, of course, of the Grand Final from Prague last time out. Second he sits in the standings. His nearest rival to that is Coque Lopez. He's 11th, and that's where it looks like he'll be starting the Grand Final from. So this will be a great opportunity here for Valerio Gallo. Down into the hairpin, Miyazono late on the brakes. He's deep. Could that cost him a possibility of second place even here as we come on to the start-finish straight then for the final time? It's Gallo, Miyazono, Sasaki and Serrano. Miyazono's close. He's in the slipstream. We're going to go through into the tunnel and we're going to come to the timing line. Is Gallo going to be a sitting duck or is Miyazono for the pounds? It's a trap to the line in the sprint race here in the Nations Cup. Is it Miyazono? Oh, Gallo! 3,000ths of a second in it, and Miyazono wins on the streets of Tokyo. Gallo finishes second, Sasaki in third. What a finish! Absolutely fantastic.
You could just see Valerio looking out the side of his car, but no. And Miyazono came through like a freight train. Good to see him getting up and applauding that. Sometimes you don't mind a race like that when you're a driver. If you come away feeling like you've had a good race.
The crowd are going to be on their feet for this one, I'm sure. The grand final of the Nations Cup is along the way. Red Bull X 2019's at Grand Valley Highway 1. Let's see what happens as we get ready for our last event before the World Finals in December. Here's the grid then. Takuma Miyazono lines up on pole position after taking victory in the sprint race by 0.03 of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo. Alongside him on the front row there with Sasaki heading row 2 and Jose Serrano alongside on row 2 alongside him there. Row 3 is headed by Angel Estrosza, the Chilean driver, with Callum Roach. Good performance for him in the sprint race to qualify in 6th position ahead of Guy Barbara, the Australian. Next up, you've got Adriano Carrazza. He'll be hoping for good fortune here tonight. Robbie Heck down in 9th position on the grid, but then we've got a couple of outliers. Kylian Drumont, you'd expect to see him quite as far down the order in 10th position, and Koke Lopez, the man who leads the championship down in 11th, with Kai de Bruyne, the unlucky Dutchman for company. Now, our first look at the tyre strategy. Unsurprisingly there, Takuma Miyazono going on the soft compound tyre. He wants to do what we saw in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, Jimmy, and break away early. Yeah, very similar strat here. I mean, basically, if you're at the front, go for the soft tyre, break away, try and use that in the space you have in front of you, and just hope you don't get overtaken by the car behind. That is worst case scenario for Miyazono, so he needs to lead this first stint. Likewise, the other side of the court, we've got Guy Barber, Robbie Heck, Dumont, Koke Lopez and Kai de Bruyne all opting to start on that hard compound tyre towards the back of the field, get out of the way early while you're in traffic, and then get onto that fast tyre later on. Well, let's see what is going to happen. There is Angel Estrosza, the Chilean driver, returning from injury after breaking his leg last year, and he's back to full fitness now. We'll see whether he is going to be able to get the cats amongst the pigeons and crucially get himself off the bottom of the scoreboard. It's going to be all eyes on the lights in a few moments' time. Nations Cup action about to begin then here for the grand final. 27 laps of action begins now as Takuma Miyazono leads the field across the line, followed by Gallo and Sasaki coming down in towards turn 2. This is the first big heavy braking zone. The field, of course, a fair bit spread out due to that rolling start, and Miyazono with a lot more grip underneath him as well, courtesy of those soft tyres. Let's see what happens with the medium shod runners. Will they start squabbling amongst themselves, or will they start playing it safe in the early stages of this race? Either way, it's Miyazono that leads the way out in front through the first few corners. In Estrosza there, having a half look to the inside, but also then gets in turn overtaken by Callum Roach. Yeah, actually had contact there with Sasaki, was put him back into the field, so already the first move we've seen, possible contact. In fact, there was contact. The stewards having a look at that right now, but to be honest, just first lap stuff, it is what it is, but you see the cars snaking through this mid-section. Callum Roach up into 4th place, a great start from the American driver, so him stamping his intent fairly quickly is Callum, as we now come on to this little mini back straight here. Opportunity to overtake if you're close enough using the draft. Will Callum Roach do that with Sasaki here? Does he try? Because we've seen Roach before in these X29s, he's pretty quick at these, so one to watch, I think. Yeah, he needs to have some good fortune. He hasn't had any of that so far this year, has Callum Roach, another driver who's not off the bottom of the scoreboard. You can see the advantage of that soft compound tyre, 1.5 seconds, and we're not even at the end of the first lap here for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo building a bit of a gap though to Sasaki in 3rd position. The slipstream range about 1.2 seconds or so, and Gallo's trying to break out of that slipstream range. You can see coming down the start-finish straight here, Roach right on the wheel tracks here of Takuma Sasaki. I think he's a bit far away, and we see a smorgasbord of hard tyre shod runners. Barbara, Dumont, De Bruyne and Lopez all getting off that hard tyre as soon as they possibly can. They're going on to the mediums by the looks of things. Well, that's one of two things. Either they're very confident the medium tyre can go a long way in this race as Cam the soft, or it's going to be a free stop for a double soft, as we've seen in a couple of races before. Koke Lopez, unsurprisingly, coming in straight away. This is someone who needs to get out of the pits and have some clear area. I'm not sure he's going to, though. Everyone's pitting at the same time. So where is Koke? He's towards the back of his back, isn't he? So some people have tried the same thing, but we'll see if it works out. He's going to have a little bit of work doing this, Koke Lopez. You can see him down there in 12th position, but what's the gap relative to the rest of the field? It's not going to be a great deal, is it? Guy Barbara just getting overtaken there by Kylian Drumont as the rest of that field filters on through. Let's have a look here with Roach, in Estrosza, Serrano. So in Estrosza biffed it up the inside. He was too late on the brake into Sasaki. And Serrano just an innocent passenger there, but Roach saw the doors opening at the seams were parting and walked straight through it. That almost worked. Sasaki wasn't there. It would have been fine. So it didn't work then, is what we're saying. Almost, no. Sasaki, meanwhile, managing to close that gap a little bit to Valerio Gallo at the end of lap 2 there. Important to do that, I think, because in this race they're getting a 1 second penalty. To be fair, that is consistent with what the stewards have done so far, so not entirely surprised to see that. again, no surprise at all there. Here is Jose Serrano, one-third of the Nations Cup lineup, which won the title in 2023. Back when that was a team-based competition. For 2024, it's an individual competition. It's winner takes all stakes. I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the World Finals. Takuma Sasaki still with Callum Roach right on his rear wing as he tries to find his way past. At the moment, they're all being relatively well behaved as it stands for now. You can see a fair big gap there back to Drummond. Of course, they've all made their pit stops, as we know, but 25 seconds or so. So Drummond with a nice bit of clear air in front of him, but he's not got too much of a time to sit there and think about it because he's got Barbara De Bruyne very close behind. Lopez, in turn, is about 3 or so seconds off the back of that field at the moment, so he can run relatively comfortably for the time being. But if he does pick up the pace, he'll begin to get into the dirty air, which, as we know, is quite prominent on these heavy downforce cars.
Yeah, of course. So it was good to keep that in mind. So good to note, by the way, our current Nations Cup standings. We have 6 drivers who are sort of within touching distance of the lead. We've got Coco Lopez leading 8 points, Valerio Gallo 7, Miyazono 6, then Drummond, De Bruyne and Serrano all in 5 points apiece. So either of these drivers with a good result today could see themselves rocket to the top of the order. It's been a very close season so far, and this is, I think, going to continue into the grand final.
I just love this circle as well. The fantastic atmosphere. Of course, it is a fictional track. It's based on a real-life location, the Grand Valley Highway, and just the scenery is beautiful, especially as you head over that viaduct in particular. The wide shot there making these cars looking absolutely resplendent in the sunshine. Roach still keeping tabs here with Takuma Sasaki, not letting you have a lot of breathing room at all.
I was going to say on the circuit, I was going to sort of get my glasses on the Yamanoids and say that I'm not quite sure this would be a grade 1 circuit with these cars, but there's not much one us there. It's literally a cliff there.
Yeah.
You get it wrong.
It's a rally stick.
Luckily, none of our guys testing with the April 2019 campfire or not. For now, anyway, Coco Lopez going from bad to worse for him. Looking down at that. 12th place, 4 seconds at the back. What do you do with Coco Lopez? I mean, he's our current Nations Cup leader. I've got a feeling he won't be after this race.
No, it's a very good opportunity for others to capitalise. Miyazono, Gallo, all within touching distance. Gallo on 7 points, Miyazono on 6 points, despite failing to score last time out in the second round of the championship in Prague. So we'll see whether he's able to take advantage of that. But like you say, Lopez needs a minor miracle at the moment. There is Adriano Corazza sitting in 6th position for now. Kind of in no man's land really at the moment because Jose Serrano is up ahead of him by about 1.7 seconds or so.
Yeah, so not much you can maybe do at the moment in that scenario, but Miyazono 5 seconds to the lead now, and Gallo's just been passed actually by Sasaki. We've just missed that on the screen. I think it's just ahead of us right now using the 6th screen. So Gallo down to 3rd place, Sasaki up into 2nd, but Roach there as well. So these 3 cars really close for 2nd place right now, and they need to be careful about this. And we say this so often that obviously you're a racing driver, you want to be as high up the order as possible, but if you're squabbling every corner, you're just giving time away to the cars around you who are not doing that, who are driving on the ideal racing line, not having to brake earlier or later. So you have to really make sure the move is worth making before you make it.
Yeah, Miyazono putting an absolute crack at the strategy at the moment so far. You can see that 5 seconds he's got in 5 laps or so, so he's putting a good chunk of time compared to the rest of the field. The question is, how much is he putting into his tyres? How long are they going to last? Because the mediums will be longer. They're a harder compound, relatively speaking. But of course, the converse with that is that they are slower over the course of 1 lap. So we'll see how that's going to pan out for Miyazono, or when those tyres will start to degrade to the point where they don't have any performance advantage over the medium shod runners. Just to give you an idea of how much quicker Miyazono was, last lap around a 1:27.159, Sasaki a 1:27.748, so about 6 tenths of a second or so to the good of his compatriot. Let's have a look here at Sasaki versus Gallo then. So this is really right-hander. Start here straight, a big snap of oversteer there for Gallo.
He did well to gather that could have very easily been similar to what we've seen with Kylian Drummond all the way back in Montreal, where he spun it just coming out of the corner. These cars, a lot of horsepower, over 800 brake horsepower in these cars, and these guys don't like running the TC, so imagine trying to control that every lap with tyres that are getting steadily worse, and you can see Gallo's problem, and to add to that, Callum Roach is now part of Gallo's problem. He's come down to Team 1, that little kink there, I think, saves a lot of people into the first corner.
No doubt about it.
It turns it into a bit of a one-line corner, that. So this corner coming down here, T6 ahead, but no, isn't a one-line corner. Let's see if Callum Roach in front can do anything. We're on board Hoda Serrano. Good viewing seats here for Hoda Serrano, but going to be a bit higher right now. Although to his credit, seems to have the best tyre condition of all of the drivers around him in our information we have here. So just sprint to those medium tyres at the moment.
I'm loving this gyro-style cam that we've been using here in the GT. So we've been using it for a good number of years. Have you noticed Formula 1 have started using it?
No penalty.
Yeah, so that's happened there.
Must have been track limits somewhere. 1 second penalty. So he must have just taken a little bit too much out of one of the corners. Very easy to do that around here. Track limits very strict in these GT World Series events because, trust me, if there's an advantage to be had when these drivers were final, and the stewards right on that. That 1 second penalty, it's not really a 1 second penalty though, is it, Tom?
No, because it's about 1.5 seconds. You lose all the time and the speed as a result of taking that penalty, because of course your car slows down to a set speed. So Miyazaki, it's not put him on the back foot as such, and he's still got a healthy margin. He'll still manage to retain the lead, but all of the advantage that he's built up, 5.5 seconds or so there and thereabouts, is just being washed away. Now let's have a look and see what happened here. So this will be one example of extended track limits. Oh, he just hit the wall on the outside there. And that will just, again, that'll be one example because it's all awarded in the game. It's not done by the stewards one. So essentially they'll be accruing all these incidents over the course of it. So that's just, let's say, one example of it.
So strict, isn't it? I mean, these guys are the best in the world, so you expect that from them, but it can be very easy to make that mistake, and really definitely punished here for Miyazaki. You can see there how we work our penalty system there. You cross the penalty line, the car has to slow down for a second, and if you're back on the gas again, so that time slowing down, that time speeding up, all takes away from the cars around him. Still on board here with Hoda Serrano, still in the same place as he was last lap, but again, just looking after those tyres. I think this is essentially the thing they're doing in this position. The cars in front of you aren't that slow, moving at a good pace, just keep the tyres alive, stay within touching distance, maybe also save a bit of fuel. That's going to be a big part of this racing. There's going to be 35 litres or so of extra fuel needed for these guys over the course of the race distance. It's 3 litres per second. Sorry, I did get it right.
Yeah. It's going to take about 20 seconds to put the car possibly a little bit more.
So if you can save 3 litres, you get yourself in 3 seconds.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is night and day in the race.
Yeah, which is something that Miyazaki just lost.
Yeah, exactly. So Miyazaki is still leading. Look at those rear tyres. They're now coming towards the end of their useful life. Indeed, he comes into the pit lane then at the end of lap 7. So we're going to have a new leader. It'll be Takumi Sasaki, followed by Valerio Gallo. The question is, where does Miyazono emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Is he going to be right down plumb last? Or he's not going to be plumb last, is he? He's going to come out ahead of Drummond here. He'll slot back in theory into a nice little gap there, Takumi Miyazono. He's onto the medium tyre, so he's not going to be a sitting duck compared to the medium shod runners behind him as well. So this will work out quite nicely for him, and he can just go and run his own race and just set the pace as he needs to. He exits out of the pit lane then at the start of lap 8, onto the medium tyres here for the former race leader.
I mean, that was quite clever. I think he took the penalty and went, okay, right, I've now lost a bit of time. Where am I going to come out? Okay, there's a nice big gap there. Let's go into that. Let's put the mediums on and let's just run, as you say, Tom, some nice, consistent laps. Here's what we think the tyre strategy is going to do, although we've seen people coming on lap 1 for the getting to the hard tyre, so that, throw that out the window. get rid of that. But just the hard tyre, it just doesn't seem to be viable on a lot of these races. It doesn't heat up quick enough, doesn't quite have that pace, and the longevity isn't worth it for the sprint races.
No, we did have a time where we had like a minimum tyre period where you had to run it for a window of 3 or 4 laps or something like that, but for reasons unbeknownst to myself, we're not doing that at the moment, so drivers just getting off a hard tyre as quickly as they possibly can. You can see Sasaki there just kicking up a bit of dust into the base of Valerio Gallo, who had that warning sign, if you remember, a few laps ago. Meanwhile, right behind them, Callum Roach and Jose Serrano very close to one another. Roach in 3rd place, but Serrano bearing down on the American driver as we come across the timing line, and Serrano looking to try and make a move on Roach in towards turn 2. He's got the inside line, he's got track position, but can he make the move stick? Roach gives him racing room. There's a little hint of contact going through turn 2. On the exit, they still continue to run side by side as they flick it through the left-hander. We're going to come into a right-hander before too long. Roach it is, but still in front, and Serrano, I don't think he's going to be there unless he's going to have a lunge to the inside, but it's still fairly early in this race to be making moves as rash as that.
Yeah, we've seen that trouble with that first corner. You just can't quite get there alongside. To go at the inside for the hairpin, you need to go a long way around to get there. So you need a big overspeed. Serrano just about got there, but Roach's exit was good enough that he can just pull back ahead and stay in the third position from now. On board with Valerio Gallo, currently second in our points standings. It's been a good last race out of him, of course, taking the win at Prague. Will we see a repeat here at Tokyo at the Grand Valley circuit here? I don't know. I mean, he's done well so far. He's had that one moment, but again, he's doing what he sort of needs to do, just sort of staying where he needs to be, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. But we all know following a car in front can also increase tyre wear. So here is a replay of Serrano's attempted win at Roach. Didn't quite come off with it.
Yeah, had a look on the inside there. Roach gave him racing room fair play because he could have closed the line there and could have ended up with a car possibly going off into the sea. But Roach just holding firm on the outside, knowing that the track come to him a little bit later on around that corner, and so he holds on to third place. Carranza's picked up a penalty as well, so presumably that must also be for track limits because we haven't seen stewards investigating anything at the moment. Meanwhile, Serrano there still sitting in fourth position. Carranza 1.8 seconds back of that, seems to have become a little bit further back than that, which might see Nostroza able to take profit and move himself up into fifth.
Get the impression that both Roach and Gallo are getting just a little bit impatient. I don't like that stat. I'm not a fan of that stat.
Is that because you're...
It's because I'm very close to that myself, and I've got this stat up and whatever.
How's your back today? Is it alright?
I don't think
this week when you woke up, you definitely got 60 WD-40 on. What happens if you get older? That's how it goes.
Leave me alone.
Valerio Gallo it is at least. Look at the fuel consumption, by the way. We were mentioning about that a little bit earlier on. Miyazono, who led this race quite comfortably by a margin of about 4 seconds or so when he came in for his pit stop, he's only used a litre of fuel more than Takuma Sasaki, so it's working out quite nicely for him here so far.
Callum Roach, from the review, said he's been quite quick at really using quite a lot of fuel at the moment, so he needs to bring that down. Yeah, as I said earlier on, we reckon it's about 35 litres extra we're going to need to box for to complete this race distance. Look at the mirrors, you can see just behind there. There we go, Callum Roach there, large in the mirrors once again. Will he go for a move? He's going to stay there for now. I think he knows he's going to save that fuel. Big lift there from Callum Roach just to make sure that he can match this guy's on fuel.
13 seconds it will take for that extra 35 litres to go into the tank. Just a bit of quick work. I know, Ed. Tell you what, it's like I listen to the briefings that we had before the start of this one. Jose Serrano now right on the back of Callum Roach once again. The top two trying to build a bit of a gap out to the likes of Roach and Serrano, just to give that bit of breathing space, really. It's important that they're able to run their own race and not get too much bother from behind. It's going to be a bit of a slow burner, this one, so once the strategies all begin to diverge and then they pick up a little bit later on, we'll see exactly how it is all going to play out. At the moment, Miyazono doing an absolutely superlative job. What's his pace relative to the other medium-term runners? 27.6? That's pretty good. It's not the fastest, but it's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. It's one of the quicker medium runners, but it's faster than the guys up front by a fair bit, so that's the one to keep an eye on, it seems. All the while, Miyazono is lapping quicker than the cars that we're watching right now. All the pit stops and seven done, that gap's going to come back. With Callum Roach getting a bit wrong there with the right hand, that will make these next set of corners even more difficult. It'll be slow off this exit. Serrano might have a chance of just dipping a wheel there into that gravel on the outside. He can only dip it in there a little bit, though. You saw what happened to Gallo when he tried it. Almost lost the car. Through the tunnel then, and then back out into the sunshine as we go on to lap 12 of 27. Serrano here in the toe of Callum Roach. Will he lift? Let's have a look. No, he's going for it. He finishes a bit quicker than the cars in front. He's going to try and go for the move now. Yeah, forced it this time. Late on the brakes. Comes back across the front of Callum Roach. Forced him to slow down. Oh, and a little bit of oversteer on exit, but I think he's still got the move made. Yeah, that's the beauty of that corner, is it can just give you an opportunity to live another day, as it were. Roach is not going to take this one lying down, though. He might try and send it back from the inside into the hairpin. Nope, Serrano's got it covered off for now, so Roach is going to have to think about it a little bit later on in the lap. The thing is, though, look at what that's done. It's only one overtake, but the gap it's built for Gallo is up to 1.2 seconds or so, from about 6 tenths of a second, so it's double, just as a result of that one manoeuvre. Yeah, I mean, if I was Valerio Gallo right now, I am P2 in the standings. My main rival is currently last and not going to score any points. And Miyazono, I guess now, will be the closest in the standings to him, seemingly out front. Just take it easy, I think, at this point, because whatever happens, the gap going into the grand final isn't, into the world final isn't going to be big enough that it can be comfortable. So I think just take it easy for now, Valerio. Save that little bit of fuel. Think about the long race here, as I think he is doing, and no more silly mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes creep in for Valerio. He's under pressure.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's wise to that one. Mirzola's been able to bring the gap down to Adriano Corazza to about 2 seconds or so. So these medium tyres, again, now coming towards the end of where they need to be, really. So that means that they're going to be coming into the pits before too long. Lap 13 out of 27 we are, and you can see just how much Mirzola picked off of Takuma Sasaki in terms of the lap time difference. 0.3 of a second on lap 10, nearly a second on lap 11, and that gap is going to just increase over the next couple of laps or so, depending on when Sasaki decides to come into the box.
Yeah, I mean, like every lap, it's 6/10 average there between all of those. So really is getting on now. It's Takuma Mirzola. He's got to do this. This is the stint, the important stint for him. Whenever you have clear track in front of you, you've got to push into that gap. You've got to really use the tyre when you can. Sasaki, I get the impression he is trying hard, but the tyres are just starting to fall away from him now. Those rear tyres are getting to the point where they're going to start being, basically you start sliding, they heat up more, you slide more, and it's just you just tumble down the roll from there. You know?
So put a bit of flesh on the bones for me, Jimmy. If you're Takuma Mirzola, you've got to get yourself into that zone. How do you not let the pressure come to you as a driver?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite easy when you have no one around you. Just go, right, okay, I know how to drive this circuit. I know my braking points. I know the speed I have. Let yourself get into that rhythm. I mean, I know there's a big crowd behind you. I know you can hear the commentary as you're in the event as well, but you've got a set of very good headphones on. Just focus on what you're doing. You can't control anyone else, and you control what you're doing. And Mirzola is so good at that. So we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on how he progresses. Sasaki, of course, still out, still not boxing. Corazza opting to come into the pit lane. He's in the Stroza. So what I suspect is a track limit penalty, a bit wide there for Sasaki. That would have slowed both him and Gallo up somewhat. Lap time-wise, Sasaki was still a 28.3, which compared to Mirzola on his last lap, did a 27.2.
So Gallo will ride on board with this. Sasaki a warning sign. A handful of corners ago, that snap of oversteer. And those snaps of oversteer might not sound like a lot, but they can prove to be very detrimental to your race, especially if you allow the competitor that's chasing you to get through. You can see just how committed these drivers are having to be going through this series of corners as well, going through the daylight into the tunnel and then back into the daylight once more as we head through the final sector. This circuit full of undulation, full of lots of twists and turns, and a lot of medium speed corners as well. And you can see there that, again, just going onto the curb on the outside, that's a great opportunity for the rear to snap away from you, especially as you're tired, get that all more worn. In terms of the lap times, Mirzola last time around 27.2, Sasaki at 28.3. So Mirzola really in the groove at the moment, and crucially a lot faster than the medium shot runners who have not pitted yet in front of him. So we'll wait to see how long it's going to be before these drivers split. Because I think as soon as Sasaki wins, the rest of the drivers are probably going to follow suit because they want to try and stay as close as they can. They decide not to at the end of lap 14 though.
We're going round for now. They all looking pretty similar. You know, top three. Captain Roach definitely in a 2 deficit in 4th place right now. Still a bit of housekeeping. Robbie Heck, long way off the back of the field. Not quite sure what happened to him. I think he's probably taking his fuel now and is just hoping he can drive into a gap. But he is actually not too far ahead of this little pack here. He might end up being lapped, which disaster, of course, for Robbie Heck. This event definitely not gone his way.
No, Robbie Heck with a fair bit of work to do. Like you say, he has taken fuel, no doubt about that, but 40 seconds off the back of the rest of the field. Something of a quiet race for him so far. So 72 seconds, 72 litres of fuel he's got on board, so he definitely has taken that fuel on board compared to the rest of the field. But this is interesting as well because it kind of forces the hand, actually, of the top 5, because they will need to take fuel, I'm sure, the next time around, unless they're going to do the hard tyres and just do that one lap in the middle of the race.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure how you want to do it that way, but we'll see what the drivers come up with. We are now past midway in this race. Watching Jose Serrano, of course, Nations Cup champion as part of Team Spain in 2023. This year hasn't quite had that same fire. He's been fast, but he's not quite been someone who's been in contention for the win, I think it's fair to say this year.
It's really easy, isn't it, for things like this to snowball as well. You start off on the wrong foot and suddenly it just gets worse and worse. And for the drivers as well, I'm not just talking about the events. Now we do see the pit stop coming in. So the top 2 go in, but Serrano thinks he's got enough life left in his tyres to go for one more lap. So he's going to try the overcut, the rest of the field trying the undercut. Seemingly Sasaki, Gallo, Roach and Inestrosa all in the box. Just finishing my earlier thought, it's easy for things to snowball. And if you start off on the wrong foot, your sprint race doesn't work out well. It can really, again, put you on the back foot for the grand final. Look at Coque Lopez as a prime example of that. He's made no inroads, no impression so far in this race. Now, a divergence in tyres here as well. So Saki has gone to the hard tyres, but he's taking no fuel on board. Likewise, in Astroza as well. But you can see the soft shop runners are putting fuel on board and they're putting the soft tyres on. So they are going to have to put the hard tyres on what presumably will be the final lap of the race.
I think the idea maybe is just to try and run that hard in the best possible situation, so low fuel and not much distance, but we'll see. There you go, refueling rate, the one that I couldn't quite say properly earlier, it's 3 litres a second, so every 3 litres of the car you're stationary for 1 second. And it means that you have to really think about your fuel-saving strategy around here. Be it just lifting and coasting a little bit, maybe not revving as much down the straight, or even turning the fuel mix down in car. All things you can do with a driver to control that rate of fuel.
Quite a race so far for Kylian Drumont. Was expecting a little bit more from the Frenchman, actually. I think he'd have been expecting a bit more of his season up to now as well. Didn't get an to score in Montreal. Got a handful of points on the board in Prague, but we know that he's got the pace to be a world champion, and we know he's got the talent to do it as well. But this season proving to be an uphill struggle for the young Frenchman as Serrano comes into the box at the end of lap 16.
Yeah, I think Drumont, I mean, he's very much everything or nothing. You'll get a win or you'll get a DNF from Kylian Drumont, which, to be fair, you know, following the race back.
Win it or bin it.
Works okay, but there's a reason why he only won the WRC once, isn't there? So there you go. But Serrano had the pits on that hard compound tyre, not opting for fuel, so he's going to the right. He's going to go out, use his hard tyre with as less fuel as possible and just try and get around quickly and then come in for that soft after.
Look at the advantage Villazzono's got here now as well. He now leads the race after having pitted and done the divergence of strategy, but he's got 9, nearly 10 seconds of an advantage over Kylian Drumont. Don't forget to vote for your Michelin driver of the day after the race. During the extra lap press conference is when we will be announcing that. Kai de Bruyne here on Serrano, going for a move on the inside. That's a lunge from the Dutchman. Gets it done quite nicely and moves up into 4th position.
Again, to the benefit of Kai, he is +8 so far in this race. I mean, he has used he's used the harder medium, so it's the soft tyre to come, this kind of thing. So this could be a good run for Kai. I mean, we know Villazzono and Drumont both have to go on to Villazzono has to go on to the hard tyre at some point. So maybe he isn't quite over yet.
And this is the thing, isn't it? These divergence in strategies. We saw it in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, where drivers will go onto the soft tyre at the end of the race. That means they're inherently that much quicker. So this could prove to be a very exciting strategy here for Kai de Bruyne. 9.5 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on what is going to happen here for the Dutchman. Because as Jimmy said, he's made a brilliant ascension through the field. A nice quiet race for him. And a podium finish would not be an unwelcome sight, so especially given where he was in that sprint race. About half an hour or so ago now, because he deserves a podium this time, but we know he's got good pace. You've seen it over the course of the last couple of years or so. Comes into the pit lane then with 8 litres of fuel left on board. Drumont also into the box as well. The Frenchman here could be on for a strong result, quite possibly too. Coque Lopez likewise coming in as well. You wonder where it's all gone wrong for the Spaniard. It's not proven to be a particularly fortuitous race. So Drumont and de Bruyne in. They'll be taking fuel on board at this stage as well. Crucially, Drumont having to take about 3 fewer litres compared to de Bruyne there as well. So his pit stop will be shorter by a handful of seconds.
That is that's a long time for those softs to last. That's 9 laps. And we've seen that the furthest it's been taken so far was Robbie Heck with 8 laps, and they were pretty knackered at the end of that. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be old. I mean, he's having to go. Why not? You've got to have a go. And there you go. There's the advantage of sorting your fuel out. So Serrano out ahead of Kai de Bruyne. Kylian Drumont up the road for both of them.
Yeah, de Bruyne losing 2 places there as a result of that longer fuel stop, essentially. So Drumont's now into 8th position, and he's got a good, comfortable cushion, actually, of about 25 seconds or so compared to Callum Roach in front of him. So he can just drive his own race at the moment. Roach and all the field in front of him owe another pit stop in this race. So let's see what happens here for Kylian Drumont. Has he pulled a bit of a blinder to get himself into podium contention in the latter stages of this race? At the moment, it's still Villazzono that leads by some 12 seconds. I think the victory for the likes of Drumont and Serrano, etc., are going to be that step too far. But as Sasaki comes into the pit lane with 8 litres of fuel and Barbara with 2 litres of fuel, they make their final stops, seemingly, in this race. where does Sasaki go? Does he decide to go for the soft tyre? He surely has to, yeah, because everyone else around him is going on the soft tyre, and it'll be 1 lap pressure compared to those who pitted last time around as well.
I was going to say, what happened with Valerio Gallo, but he took fuel earlier in the race, so he's got fuel to the end now, whereas Carrazza and Miezono both need to pit for pretty much a full tank. So let's see where Gallo actually comes out with it. So Gallo's going to be quite competitive with these drivers around him. Once Miezono boxes, Sasaki coming onto that soft compounder tyre and now leaving the pit lane. Does he come out ahead of this little train behind him? This will be absolutely... he needs that. No, he doesn't. Behind Serrano, and not just about coming out ahead of Kai de Bruin, but Sasaki back into the pack now. So you're seeing what the lack of fuel saving has done. Even though Sasaki led most of the start of this race here after Miezono boxed, that was it. He didn't quite save the fuel in the right way, and now he's back in the pack again.
But it's proven to be a bit costly for some drivers here, this fuel strategy. So Drummond there in 5th position, Serrano and Sasaki not too far adrift. Now Miezono into the pits. Oh, look at that for a fuel strategy. 1 litre left. You can't cut it any finer than that. If there's a man who knows how to eke the maximum out of his car, it is Takuma Miezono. And don't think that he was slow last time around as well. He was at 27.6 across the line, so it's not like he's been doing massive fuel saving. He's just timed it really well.
Yeah, I mean, up to that hard compounder tyre now. Now, here's the agonising part of the drive. You just have to wait for this fuel to go in. Now, Gallo has gone up into the lead, into second place. Carrazza in the lead right now. Carrazza's got to come in at some point. He hasn't got enough fuel to take him out of the equation. Yeah, and Gallo's also got to serve another pit stop because he owes the hard compounder tyre, doesn't he? But what's the gap, I think, to Miezono? That is the big question.
Well, Miezono is surely going to come in because he's not going to finish the rest of this race 7 laps on the hard tyre. That would be very detrimental in comparison to everybody else. The longest that we've seen on the hard tyre to date is 3 laps, and it's about 1.7 seconds a lap slower. So I'm sure that Miezono is going to do 1 and done.
Surely not, because that's going to give the race away doing that.
Well, unless he wants to have more pace at the end. But a hard tyre for 7 laps, that's a risky strategy. But he had to come in because he needed fuel. He had no choice, did he?
That's not worked out very well for Takuma Miezono. I think he's made a mistake there, if I'm honest. If you come in again now, you're giving away, I don't know, 15 seconds.
But then the converse is that you have more pace at the end of the race, but you've got to make those positions up. You've got to gain that time back, essentially. Kai de Bruin picks up a 1-second penalty for a collision then. So that's unfortunately going to put pay to any possible podium results for the Dutchman, I'm afraid. So, Carrazza is that leads then. Let's try and work out this one.
I'm sitting here looking at this.
So Carrazza leads. He owes another compound of tyre. How much fuel has he got on board? Not enough. He's got 6 litres. So he's going to come in at the end of this one. You can forget about him. Gallo's already taken fuel. He owes another pit stop because he hasn't run the hard compound of tyre. Here is De Bruin about to serve his penalty, by the way, and allows Sasaki to go through into 7th position. And then further down the order, you've got Callum Roach, again, owes another pit stop, owes the hard compound of tyre, has got fuel on board. Miezono on the hard tyre. To the end of this one, over the course of 7 laps, he's going to be right up against it if that is indeed his strategy. If he's going to go to the end of this race on the hard compound of tyre, he's going to be hemorrhaging time. But of course, he's got that in his back pocket for now. It just depends on what happens with everybody else once they have all sorted their strategies out.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like this race is sort of coming to Valerio Gallo at the moment, from what I can see on him and Callum Roach looking very fast. I just don't think that being on that hard time, I mean, we'll check out Miezono's lap times, but I just don't think he's going to be able to compete with those on the soft around him. I mean, we are going to see Gallo and Roach and the like come in for that hard tyre. They have to use that at some point. But it's going to be fresher, and they're going to have similar fuel, and the gap is always growing at the moment. So it basically depends on how long Gallo can stay out on the soft tyre, and how long he can keep the pace up with the 26s.
So I'm looking at De Bruin here with Sasaki. So this is the penalty that he picked up. He goes up the inside of Sasaki. Pushes him wide a little bit onto there, and then there's a smattering of contact as Sasaki rejoins. Tries to close the door a little bit, and, well, there we go. Right, so Carrazza's in. No fuel left on board. 0 litres. That, well, yeah, there's as close as you like, and then there's running on fumes. I reckon that you probably have to coast the last couple of metres for that one. Serrano's picked up another penalty here of a second as well due to track limits.
I'm keeping an eye on the lap time of Takuma Miezono. This is really important now. Gallo still has a good bit of tyre life left. I think he can take these tyres maybe a couple more laps. We've seen 8 laps out of some of the cars so far. We might have seen 9 if that tyre can go that far. So what Gallo needs to do here is he needs to drive as fast as he possibly can, but the problem is that he owes that whole kind of time. He needs to build up that gap so that when he takes that final pit stop, he's got that cushion
in his pocket if Miyazono's going to stay out on the hard compound tyre. There's a lot of ebbing and flowing to go in this race, and you can see the difference in tyre compounds here and how important that is. Look at that. Drumont last time around, he's on the soft tyre, Miyazono's on the hard. 2.1 seconds. That's a fortnight around here.
And that's something else as well. Drumont catches Miyazono, and there's no defending against that sort of lap time differential. You're going to just drive by the guy at that point. I really think this has all come undone for Miyazono. I think what happens, he just misjudged the fuel and got to the point where he had to change tyres coming in, and he didn't get to use all the medium stint tyre. I mean, for example, people ran that medium tyre 15 to 17 laps. He only did 12 before he boxed, so he lost out on 5-6 laps of that medium speed.
Well, if he's bothered about it, he's not letting his facial expressions show.
No, he's not.
When does he ever, to be fair? So lap 22 out of 27 we're on then. It's Gallo that leads, Roach in second. Roach again still owes that hard compounded tyre, but has the same fuel as Valerio Gallo. So that is a de facto position there for Callum Roach as it stands for now, because he's in exactly the same position, exactly the same strategy. Of course, he's got 5.5 seconds, 5.9 seconds now as a matter of fact, to Valerio Gallo. So once it all pays out, I reckon that Roach will probably drop down to third, maybe fourth position here. But Drumont is closing.
Drumont's going to be the one to look out for. Drumont is really fast right now, but we do know that soft compound has got to go all the way to the end. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Billy Drumont, but he's got the pace. Watch out for the Frenchman. I think maybe he's becoming a contender here. He had a really good middle stint, which has put him in the position he's in now, but he does have the caveat that he's got Takuma Miyazono ahead now. He does not have to stop again. He's not going to just let you by. He's going to defend that position for his life. And same for Drumont, these guys don't have to stop. Roach and Gallo do need to stop, and both is going to that line. Look at that lap differential there. 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds.
It's the end of his lap. Surely he'll be there. There's nothing that Miyazono is going to be able to do here. Drumont's just going to go driving on by. So I said about the fuel strategy and Miyazono eking it out.
Bye.